Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News Behind the News with Ralph Kintab on Mix 94.7 FM. Today, I'm glad to have the person who's in front of me that I'll be interviewing. This month is, of course, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but I don't have her on just for that, although she has a quite amazing story that I would love for her to share, but also the fact that I call you a woman with a lot of commas. And I say that in regards to someone who, you're a businesswoman, you're an author, a former politician, and so you just have commas after your name. But I would like to say good afternoon to you, Miss Tamara Leonard, and welcome to the program.
To God be the glory, and good afternoon, Rav. Thank you for having me.
Okay, great. So, as I mentioned, I think we can take this interview in several areas. But to start off, I think I'll start with something I think is a passion of yours still to this day, which is business. Mm-hmm. Something that you're definitely well known for. And so my first question to you is, what inspired you to be in business? And can you share some of the tough lessons you've learned over the years?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. I believe that I have been inspired to do business from my parents. From a child I grew up, I know my mother to be a hairdresser. She had her own salon. My dad worked for government during the day, and he worked at night in the casino. But he too also had businesses. He would paint, he would septic, he would clean trenches, and then eventually he was doing garbage. As we got older, he started into the garbage sector. I think that is what inspired me from children. In Mommy's salon, she had these little containers of candy that we used to sell and make money. My parents did a really good job with giving us allowance when we were growing up. So you had to manage that money because you got it once a month. And you had to make sure that it lasted for the whole month. I could think back from as little as maybe 12, 13 years, we were done playing partner hand. Myself, my sister, Deborah, a couple of us, so I've always loved the idea of exchanging your ideas for business, for money, your services exchange for money. I've always liked the idea of making my own money. And I can only credit my parents for that. And as I grew older, of course, then I met one of my greatest mentors in business, is Miss Brenda Watty, and I met her in my early 20s. In my early 20s, maybe a little before that. And she too was all wrapped up in business, and she taught me so many things and introduced me to so many people, and as far as business ethic, she explained a lot, spent a lot of time talking to me. I know I used to just enjoy going to her office, sitting down and watching her work. And there were times, because I can be a motor mouth, so there were times she would say, okay, you can come, but you have to sit there and be quiet because I have to work. No questions today. Because I would always be asking questions, and...
You're like a sponge, basically.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And this was before I started college.
Okay, what did you study, by the way?
So, I left St. Martin to study hospitality. But when I got there, that ended up changing. So, I have an associate's degree in network and communications, as well as an associate's degree in business administration. Now, you would think, why 2 associate degrees? And because I also have 2 bachelor's degrees, and you would think, why 2 bachelor's degrees? Why didn't you just do an associate or bachelor's and go and get your master's? It took me 7 years to get those 4 degrees, by the way. So I could have gotten a master's degree in that time. Mm-hmm. But here is the truth behind that. I sucked at math. Really, really sucked at math. And so I failed math in my associate's program like 6 times. And so you're only allowed to fail it 3 times.
Wow.
And so I was an international student. I had to have 12 credits at all times. And so I found myself just taking classes to be able to pass math. I had to end up pulling a new major because I'd already taken it too many times for the networking communication. So that's how come I end up with a second associate's degree, because I've had to take it so many times. I took it 4 times. And so 4 times would mean 4 times 12 credits.
Correct.
And so that's why I ended up with the 2 degrees. And the same thing happened to me with my bachelor's program, because again, I leave from now algebra, and we gone into calculus, and we gone into statistics, and all those things were very challenging for me. And so because I was international, I had to stick with the 12 credits every time, and sometimes I would take a few credits more, but the bottom line was the only reason I end up with those 2 degrees each time is because I had to retake math so many times, and I had to take 12 credits. So ended up going with in my bachelor's degrees, I continued with my networking communication, so I have a bachelor's in that as well, but I also ended up taking up a second degree in project management. But in that case, I had a minor in leadership and motivation.
Okay.
So,
well, you make me feel good for getting a 5 for maths and sexy.
Oh, listen, I'm horrible.
It's okay. There are some of us like that. Maths is just not.
But also really, really good in the other things that I did.
Correct.
So
obviously,
I'm not ashamed of it, and I like to tell a story only because there's some students who feel, well, okay, I will never finish because of this math. I know of other people who spend, a long time before they could get their associate's degree just because there's blessed algebra or calculus, And so that's the reality, but it doesn't mean you should stop.
Correct.
You should continue, and while you're at it, get more if you can. While you're there, don't waste the time. And that's my story, you know. So that's how I came by the degrees. But before you ask that, I was going to tell you, before I went to college, I ended up starting business here. So your question was, what some of the lessons that I learned, and I learned a lot of lessons. One of the things that I learned about business is you really have to sit down and, the idea of a one of the things that I learned about business is, while the idea of a business plan sounds like that's just something for the bank, or that's something that you need to have just for having its sake. No, it's real, because we skipped the whole business plan process, and I just came home. Through my dad, I was able to get a loan from the bank, and through, I was able to locate a space for our office. So I had my office, I had it well furnished. We had employees, and then we started looking for business.
And what was the business of?
It was project management. It was project management and several things. But the point is, we had the horse behind the cart because you have to get all these things first, and then you go looking to get overhead expenses. I had my overhead expenses on lock.
With no income.
And so, of course, it took some time, but we eventually bellied up.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest lessons was that, and being able to come out of that, it was a lot of money in the hole. So I eventually had to go and get a job, catch myself, stand on my 2 feet again, and then eventually left that job to start my own business again. This time, once again, in project management, more streamlined with human resources, so training, hiring, filing for permits, and the like. And we also did many other things, but those were the main things as far as business went for me at that time. My first business, however, I was doing nails.
Okay.
I was doing acrylic nails.
All right. Yeah, and that's good business.
And that was before
it has
college.
Its audience.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah, that was before college, and so that went well. That was nice while it lasted.
Hey, you never thought of doing hair like your mom?
I think because my mom, we drill us with this hair, I think for so much it was a no.
Got you.
But she made sure we could do it all. She made sure we used to have to help out in the salon at when it's busy, be it setting hair with rollers, be it, washing out, or washing the hair and stuff like that. So the bottom line is I've been so business is just a part of who I am,
truly ingrained in you, basically.
And I really, really love it.
Okay. But and one thing you mentioned, and this is, the part that I know gets a lot of us, people in general, failure. How do you deal with failure? Because I can imagine that one of the things that sometimes may prevent people from making decisions that would be good for them is because of it would seem like a perceived failure. And then, I can imagine worse now, let's say in a society that's already small with social media that makes it smaller, and somebody on Facebook, oh, you started business, you're doing good, etc. So how do you respond to that?
I think my answer would be an oxymoron, because while I hate failure, I love risk-taking. So, failure for me is necessary. Failure for me is a part of progress. If you don't know what it means to fail, you can't truly enjoy success. If you don't know that feeling of failure, or if you don't know sweet, if you don't know sour, you can't enjoy sweet. You can't truly enjoy sweetness if you don't know bitterness, so there's a balance, and that's how you apply it to your life. And if you just focus on knowing that failure is necessary to grow, and failure is necessary to progress, then you ain't gonna have a problem failing, and you're gonna continue to take risk, because you're gonna fail a couple times, but you're gonna get a hit. You're going to get a hit. You're going to get quite a few hits. You just have to make sure you manage yourself and your projects, or whatever business that is at the time. You consider for the times that are going to be rough, But failure is a part of it. It's an important part of success.
Indeed. I like your sour and sweet statement. First thing that came to mind was a aloe and a kinep.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The same textures, but one bitter, one sweet.
Yeah, indeed.
And one good for something and the other not, So failure can, the things that we don't like in life sometimes are the things that are best for us. Because can you imagine never fail? Like, I give a perfect example, Lord. I always put my daughter on blast.
Lord.
But
she's yours, so go ahead.
But my daughter, for example, or let me just not shape it around my daughter. I know other kids as well who did really, really well in school. Went through kindergarten, went through elementary, went through high school, never failed, never stay back, had it great, went off to college, failed a class, and the world was coming to a crashing end because they or she failed a class. A class. You don't want me to tell you how much classes I failed, but for them, it depends on the mindset. They want to make sure they accomplish it. And even ain't so much about making your parents proud, but for yourself, sometimes you want to make sure that you just put your 100% in, and you don't have a reason to fail. And then even in those times, you fail sometimes, because sometimes you genuinely did not understand, period. And that happens. That's human. And so that's why now I would tell my friends when they have I have a friend or two with children who had to resit the same class. I said, listen, explain them that you want them to work harder next time, okay, but give God glory that you got the opportunity to mold your child through that failure, that they can now understand what it is to fall, dust off, and get back up and go again with even more passion.
And the highlight too is you're starting out at a advantageous position.
Exactly.
Because you know what not to do.
Exactly. So that's another perfect example of why failure is important. It's an important part of progress, of success.
So another thing where business is concerned is that a lot of people tend to complain about this competition. And I bring that one up because I like the Jeff Bezos approach to it. I remember listening to an interview of his where he basically said, you have two options. You either focus on your competition or you focus on your customers. Only one brings you income. And he said it as simple as that. But still, you're often taught in encouraging business to still monitor what is out there in the market, those services or businesses similar to yours, just so, you could step up your game. And so what is your take on dealing with competition and how people should approach it?
I think that the pie, I want to say, is big enough for everyone to get a slice. I think what matters is that we sometimes have to see how we can accommodate each other. Because sometimes your competition don't have to be your competition. It can also be someone that you can also grow from. They can grow from you as well. I think it's a cultural thing. It depends on the culture that you come from, because there are certain cultures where it is just natural that they could open store after store next to each other, all the way down up the road, across from each other, and everybody's still satisfied and happy for each other, and we selling the same thing at different prices, but like I said, we just happy for each other and happy that each other is making it. Now you have different cultures where we're just trying to eat out of each other's plate and finish each other off. I think competition can be healthy. It keeps you in order. It keeps you in line. But I think here in St. Martin, at this point where, for example, I am getting back into the private sector, I want to help and aid small, medium, and micro businesses to be able to grow. And give people who have the thought of doing business, but just not brave enough to take that step. In some cases, can't afford to pull together the resources to get what you want going. And so I want to cater to those people a little bit now, as well as find ways to promote local business, small, medium, micro businesses, like making things at home and selling them. I think now we are realizing through the pandemic, I think one of the plus, or one of the great things that came out of this whole situation is how much we can do for ourselves, how much we can make money from at home.
And be self-sustainable.
Exactly. And I think many people has taken that opportunity and is using it to grow. And so I want to promote that. I want to push that. I want to encourage, motivate, and help people as far as that goes, be it locally and internationally, because I think for how small we are, there's a lot of limit to, I now write children's books. I have 6 books, but I sell my books in sets. While I know for a fact I did not cover every child in St. Martin, don't have my books in their house, but that is the goal. But after that, then what? Do I just put my books down on the side and leave them and it's over? Because why would you buy the same book every year? So the goal is to get international. It's the same thing. We have a bush tea lemonade, my sisters and I, we have a bush tea lemonade that we sell that even tourists now, we had a tourist that came to St. Martin, had it, and she decided that she wants to take this to America. She decided, she looked for us, she hunted us down, and eventually someone led her to my mom, and my mom then had me contact her, and I did, and she was like, listen, I love your product, and I want to see it in Trader Joe's. I want to see it in Whole Foods.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah,
I want to see it in Target, I want to see it in America. She said, because this is unique. She's a foodie, and she loves going visiting different restaurants all over the world, and she travels. And she's like, I've never had anything that refreshing, and I really want us. And we've since had 4 meetings with her. We are at the point where now she's literally looking, of course, the how you say,
in terms of shipping,
intellectual property, trademark, and those things. So she's busy with that on that end right now. But the point that I'm
Intellectual
making
rights,
is
yeah.
we have the opportunity and the possibilities
To
are there
expand.
that we can expand
Yes.
outside of St. Martin.
Yes.
And of course, this is base, this is home, this is the rock, and it will forever be the love of my life. But I am not going to limit myself
Correct.
to just doing business here. And I believe that the same way we have products coming from America to St. Martin on our shelves is the same way we're going to have to
Yeah.
find a way to get our products out there on their shelves.
Yeah, and whether it be brand names or generic brands,
Exactly.
they still end up here. Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, I so love what you said because it's in a sense it's like even if you decide you will walk the whole of St. Martin, you'll keep walking, but at one point you're gonna meet and touch the sea. You got to cross. You got to cross, over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact that we are now, we see so many people with products that are able to just be exported.
Yeah, and good quality.
And branding.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there are some people, I look at some of us, and some of them we don't even need permits. They don't need no FDA approval for some of the things that I see being made here locally. And I believe that we will, listen, I am going to push and push and push these books until they land on somebody's shelf outside of St. Martin. And that's just period.
Yeah.
And not just for me, but to inspire others that, hey, if
You could do
she
it
could
too.
do it,
Exactly.
I could do it too.
Exactly.
Because there's no reason we need to be working for the rest of our lives. There's no reason that we can't do something to have something to fall back on. But it wasn't taught to us. It wasn't a part of, in school, in elementary school, we learn currency.
Yeah.
But we don't learn managing money. We
Yeah.
don't learn
Investment.
exchange of money for business, exchange of they do that in hopefully written arithmetic and so on. But we don't.
It's not
delve
as
into
practical
it.
and that long continuous
Yeah,
either. It may
yeah.
be, let's say the school does a workshop, a 2 week, maybe one or 2 week workshop. We teach the kids a little something, but then it's like, move on from
and
that.
And I will give you an example. There was a time when a lot of my friends came straight out of high school. Not everyone wanted a college experience. Our parents could have afforded it in some cases. Not everyone were blessed to get the study financing or whatever. And a lot of my friends came out of school and went straight into working. A lot of them work in the banks, for example. And there was a time when the banks went on this crazy, just laying people off that had worked for them for 16 and 20 years and up, just lay them off because the bank just couldn't. Everything is, the technology is literally taking up
away
some of the
jobs,
the positions.
automation,
So, and for whatever other reasons, the bank really let go a lot of my friends. And that played with my mind because I said to myself, okay, forget the college experience. Not everybody have to have a college experience.
Agreed,
and if you do have it, God bless you. Do your best with it. And if you don't have it, do what you got to do to make it legally so, ethically so.
Yeah.
Okay? And I thought to myself, had a couple of them have the thought or the idea or the braveness to go ahead and start something small from at home. I don't care if it's carving coconuts or whatever, anything within the reach of our hands that we could do something with and make business out of it, they would at least have that to fall back on. Businesses need to promote that their employees have something to fall back on. It should not just be, come work for me, you work, you don't work, okay, I pay you, go home. I can't afford you no more, okay, see you. It's
true
not easy
empowerment
for
of
businesses.
people. Yes, I understand what
it's
you're
not
saying.
easy because business is business,
Correct,
you understand?
correct.
However, I think we need to normalize us doing more for ourselves to be able to fall back on something, have something extra. I think the generation before me were into apartments because all our parents got apartments somewhere, and then that's their retirement. So that whatever they get from their pension is okay, but they have that extra because the truth is you can't afford it. I know of some pension amounts that our seniors and our elders get, they cannot live on that.
No.
Their children have to continue taking care of them.
Correct.
Whereas other places in the world, the pension is enough that they can live a whole life.
Yeah, have
You know
a
what I
real
mean?
quality standard of living.
So I think that it's time for us as people to start taking the onus on us to start doing things to sustain us as we get older. You know, I'm not saying throw everything on government.
Honestly,
No, I think people have to also take the initiative to do things, especially in business, to be able to have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
You know?
The greatest thing, really, main point, I think, with government is just allowing there to be a atmosphere to you know, so that there's an ease of business. That is what, the less restrictions, the red tape, the waiting,
and
that is, you know, one, and the banking regulations is another aspect.
Very
But
unfortunate that we are still in this place.
Correct.
That I don't want to sound arrogant or mean, but we in that realm, we like a third world country.
Yes.
You know, in that realm, and unfortunately, I don't see that changing no time soon.
But the thing is about
and it
it is
doesn't
like,
matter who walking on
it's
walk.
so many of us who know what it's like to live away and know what it's like to enjoy certain benefits. Let's say benefits, and then come back home and then end up working in institutions and still continue along the process. So, you know, you ask yourself, at what point will we decide, you know,
It's
time
unfortunate
to
though.
cut it off?
It's unfortunate though, Ralph,
Because it stifles
when you start
growth.
a small business outside of St. Martin in other countries, and I can only speak from experience, when you start a business, a small business in America, the support system is crazy.
Yeah.
They want you to succeed. They want that your business actually make money so you can pay these taxes.
Yeah.
You understand?
But as you spoke about culture,
they create an atmosphere for growth. I mean, everybody somewhere selling something. Everybody somewhere doing something for self.
I love that you say that, because I remember one of the things that, and like most college students, you know, you end up finding some sort of hustle. Sometimes you're able to work on campus, sometimes not. But I remember when I just went to Florida, they found out about this page, this Gary V, talking about this guy literally, and he videotaped himself, which is what I appreciate, going to garage sales and thrift stores and buying cheap shirts and just reselling it on eBay. So in my next to my apartment complex in Tallahassee, I had a thrift store. I remember buying 2 polo shirts, Ralph Lauren shirts, for less than $6. And sold it on eBay for $29 each. And I was like, whoa.
Yep.
So these are the opportunities you have, you know, just as an individual. So imagine you make this your business now.
and you know, it's not, everything is not smooth, easy.
Very true.
There's work involved, and there's steps you're going to have to take, and you have to be cautious with a lot of things as well. But the point is, it is possible, and that's what people have to understand.
Yes.
Dream, and dream big, because your dreams are valid, and they can very well become true. Your dreams can become true, and I can't stress it enough. I mean, listen, I was down and out under chemotherapy, mashing me up, but for some reason, the way my mind wired on a natural, you know, and I meant what I said, that cancer wasn't going to beat me. I mean, it didn't beat me last time, but financially it crippled me. And this time I was not having it. You understand? I said something, because you're well aware that you're going to have some bills coming behind, but I was adamant about finding a way to be able to pay these things, and I wrote those books. I never aspired to be no author. I never had inspiration to write no children's books. Never.
And were you ever even a writer early on in your teens or so?
The one thing I do, you know, my 3rd grade teacher, her name is Carmen Bowers. She told me when I was in 3rd grade, she said, you have a gift for writing. You know, and that stuck with me. I would write stuff here and there, but nowhere to publish nothing on, and I would write on Facebook, express myself there, and you know, while my grammar is definitely not the best, People would always
Thank God for editors, right?
share. I'm sorry.
I said thank God for editors.
Exactly. People would always share interest, how interesting my piece was or whatever. But no, I never had aspirations to write no children's book. I did have the idea. I even started it to write a book about myself and my life. And I wrote probably in about 10, maybe 15,000 words. But then I start coming up on some things, because when you're writing about yourself, you can't lie to yourself. You can't lie, you just can't.
Yeah.
And I found myself encountering some areas that I did not necessarily took care of, things that my mother and father didn't know, and I check in, they ain't gonna find out reading it in no book from me. So I'm gonna have to have a little sit-down heart-to-heart with them, and before I can get back on that. And I put that book away because it also was taking me back to some places of emotional.
That you felt like you had to, I understand.
Yes, made me realize I still had some undealt with things. I still got things of my past and my childhood days that weren't dealt with, and even teenager, the things that I did, the mistakes that I made as an adult, they're written on the wall. The whole world could see them. Not that I don't care, but hopefully somebody will learn from them, but I never had aspirations to write no children's book. And that only came about because I decided I was going to find something to do that can make me money to help me pay these bills, because I know it coming. This time wasn't new. It wasn't the first time. I know exactly why I was dealing with this time. And so that's how these books came about.
Wow, okay. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more on that story.
Okay.
Bam. Wow.
How much minutes are you?
Okay, video recording, audio. Welcome back, everyone. You're tuned into the news behind the news with Ralph Kintab on Mix 94.7 FM, and I'm joined with Miss Tamara Leonard. I want to say MP, former member of Parliament, and I would like to touch on that briefly. But we last spoke about the fact that, you're now an author. You published several children's books. Mm-hmm. But how did that idea specifically come to mind? That especially as a way of income, increasing or gaining an income.
Okay, well, what had happened was I was on a mission to find something that I can enjoy doing while battling. It couldn't be anything that would require me lifting or anything like that. It couldn't be anything that would require me doing too much with my arms. So just scrolling through TikTok one night, like I said, I was on a prey. I was looking for something, and then I came across this TikTok of writing children's books, and I was like, it's going to be that, because I know stories. I could speak about myself. I could speak about stories with my childhood, and I decided that I wanted to do something that would be empowering and inspirational, something that children can learn from and enjoy. No fairy tales. Nothing's wrong with fairy tales, but I know fairy tale writer. I real life scenarios, situations that would either save you from a lesson, a hard lesson or two, or something that would help guide you through a rough time. Because let me tell you, it's rough for teenagers, it's rough for them. It's rough for preteens trying to be a teenager, and you're still ain't a teenager. And it's really rough for teenagers who just trying to be an adult and get out of your parents' house, And in the process, there's so much mistakes and so much things. And I'm going to be touching on some topics in my coming books that are not popular, but is real, where it speaks about the parts of my body that nobody's supposed to touch.
True.
The things or activities that should not take place with my teacher or my babysitter or my uncle or my aunt, the things that should not be taking place, because it's only when it's exposed, everybody does scrabble for how we could curb this some more. But the truth is,
scrabble to hide it.
The predators are those closest to us.
Correct.
And we have to teach children to identify them. I'm not saying every uncle. I'm saying there are some uncles in between there. And we grew up in the Caribbean where we were taught as a form of respect to call mothers and fathers, friends, auntie and uncle.
Auntie this, uncle this, yes.
Exactly. So, and in those innocent places, sometimes the enemy is lurking and just waiting on when, also communication with parents. If you see a child and can't get through to the parents, or the parents can't get through to that child, there's always that one or two predators on the side just waiting to see, you need somebody to talk to. Mm-hmm. You need somebody you can trust. And then suddenly they're turning them into all kind of things. And I'm not going to call names to speak evil into any lives, but we cannot hide the fact, or we cannot close our eyes or pretend that these things ain't there. And those are the topics I want to touch on. So I've spoken about communication with parents and children. I've spoken about saying please and saying excuse me. I wanted to delve in more to manners, but I realized that I had more insight to give other than just please, thank you, excuse me.
So beyond the surface.
Yes. So I delved a little deeper in gratitude. Gratitude is something, and anger. I have a book on anger. I have a book on gratitude. We have angry little children walking around, angry with tempers out of this world. That there's no way they're going to survive if they don't curb that now. In some cases, it's a matter of them maturing, growing out of it. But I think it's necessary that we let them know that, hey, you're not the only one who have this anger problem, but you can get yourself in big trouble. So how about practicing some of these cool down exercises? So at the back of that book has a cool down exercise that they can do several days. So the book is not just a reading book, but now it's a little workbook, so to speak. And the one with gratitude, children, I don't even want to say just children. People have this sense of entitlement. The spirit of entitlement is reeking in this island. Like, people just feel they are entitled to every or anything that they deem so, And that has trickled down to our children, because children now have no respect for material. They don't have respect for what they have. We have adults who so focus on what they want. We don't take time to embrace now and what we have and be content with what we have. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with needing more. But we also have to be able to show gratitude and gratefulness for what we have now. That too is very important, and important for in so many areas of our lives, because it also sets a standard of what you are worth. It also sets a standard of exactly what opportunities you can miss out on if you don't know that sense of gratitude, thanksgiving, or appreciation for the now or the haves that you have, So I wrote a book about that, and at the back of that book have a whole cool down. The back of that book have a gratitude journal. So today I am grateful for. This month I am grateful for. So again, it's a reading book, but it's also a workbook. And that's along the lines of my books.
Okay. And I believe you said you're also working on some books for teenagers and even adults?
Well, I'm saying my stories adults can relate to. Everyone can relate. If you're human, they got blood running through your veins, you could relate to the books I'm writing, because I'm writing books about everyday things that happen to you in life and just how to handle it, or some strategies on how to avoid certain things. Yes, I have gone over more into the teenagers. I didn't abandon the younger children, but the last couple books, like I have one that was just launched this week. It is called... it's titled, It's Not Always About You. And that have a lot to do with us as teenagers stuck in that place where, okay, I realized I used to be bad. I realized that, how the road I was taking wasn't necessarily the good one. I want to do better. But your reputation is stuck with you of messing up. You have this reputation of anger, of throwing tantrums, and so it's already what it is. Now you have to go through that process of proving that you are not just saying you are changing, but you are actually doing the things that are going to help you change into becoming a different person. And so when you're in that phase there, nobody have respect for you. Anything that happens, you get the blame, and everything that can go wrong, falls in your lap, and then automatically your day is doomed, And so this book basically talks about that and how sometimes, and there's an example in the book where you think one thing was such a bad situation, you throw a whole tantrum, storm out the classroom, disrespectfully so, and then that problem gets solved. And so now you're in trouble for the problem, you're in trouble for your behavior. So it ain't so much the deed, but of what was wrong, but it's the way you reacted to the situation that now have you in double the trouble. So that's what that book about, and a way to calm that down. And then the book that I'm working on as we speak is called Stop Pushing the Boundaries of Fun. It is not worth it. It's a very long title, but I tried so many ways. I allowed other people to read the book. I'm not sure I sent you the book.
What about Fun Let's Bring Bun?
the fact that that's not international, because my books are not necessarily just. I'm probably going to do one maybe local, but my books are not designed local, and nothing's wrong with local books. We need that, But mine are more
a wider audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So fun does bring bun. It won't work.
Reach just at yes, I got you.
Yes, it won't work. And I actually started writing one, but never got anywhere with it. I don't know what was wrong with my flow, and I never picked back up on it. And that was Who Don't Hear Will Feel. Even that is a little Caribbean, but I just had a block though. That never finished. That book just right there, still waiting to be completed.
Yeah. And that's part of the writing process too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this new one that's coming out, this new one that's out now is a beautiful story, an easy read.
Nice.
For the first time, I included on my credits on the covers. My editor is Miss Claudine Williams. She edited that book. She didn't just edit the book though. She edited the book, and typically I work with virtual assistants, so people all over the world who just
basically offer their services online. Yes.
So, and I would write the story, and then they would make it flow. But I sent this story to Chloe, and Claudine, and she actually added the elements to make it flow. So she didn't just edit the story; she edited the story, and she also did what those people do for me online. She gave it flow, and that opened my eyes to the fact that, man, I can use people here.
Yep, correct.
I could use people here to help me with my books. And then they can also be credited. I'm going to go back to my previous books and put my editors on them. Now as well, I have Alicia Lake that edited a book for me. I'm sorry. I have Alita Singh that now edited 2 books for me.
Nice.
And then I also have Kishana Hamer. She edited like 2 or 3 books for me. And then I have I'm running out of thought now.
It's okay. So, but I get what you're saying. Though, definitely, that you have people here who can assist with that process, and that's beautiful.
Yes,
because what I love about the fact that you're putting out so many books is, as you said from the beginning, it really inspires and shows people that I can do it too.
Yeah.
And book putting together, besides taking the time to write, putting together, publishing a book is really not that difficult. As long as you have the will.
Exactly.
Because I remember when I published my first book, while, I had my errors and stuff, but as we discussed, those mistakes make you know how to do better next time. As long as you want to, just go right ahead.
Yes. I had a friend over last night, and she gave me, she told me, she said, I always wanted to write a children's book series. And I said, tell me more. She said, and she gave me her concept. She gave me exactly what she wanted. It's very local, hers. But Ralph, when I tell you, a phenomenal concept, a beautiful concept. And I tell her, listen, you need to start writing.
Yep.
You need to start writing. This is, it's not just inspiring, but it's also empowering. And we are she will be giving our youth, a chance to see that it doesn't matter from whence you came, you can be anything you want to be.
Yep.
Because you would look at we had a way of looking at certain districts in St. Martin
Yes, very true.
as the
Yes.
districts that, not that you put any thought into it to think that nothing good will come out of that district, but
In a sense, you condemn it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
out of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
districts, we have phenomenal
Yes, some of
people
the
coming
brightest
out.
minds,
We
yes.
have doctors and lawyers coming out, all kind of woodwork, cracks at the different districts. And so you want that children from very young, as soon as they're exposed to school, because that's where it happens. Children just speaking what they hear in the parents say. They ain't putting no thought to it as to how you can affect somebody with your words. But you from Dutch Quarter? You from St. Peter's? In that manner, like, that's not a good place to come from. But man, listen, I can't talk about a lady book, but geez, what
when
a
she's
beautiful
ready,
story
the program is
she has.
available.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that I'm doing now too, through Tam Leo, is helping people who have books, sitting down waiting for 3 years, and helping them put these books on the
Beautiful,
market.
beautiful.
Get them out there. Let's get them out there, and then we market. Because the thing about books, and with all the business I love, I don't know how I never thought about it. It never crossed my mind. But the thing about books is you put effort into it once.
Yes,
You
exactly.
write this book,
yeah.
have it edited, have it illustrated, have it published, and you're done. You don't have to give it rice. You don't have to give it corn. You don't have to give it water. You don't need to give it anything for it to grow or to continue to exist. It will exist
Yes,
forever,
yeah.
and you can make money on it forever.
Yeah, and
because
that's passive income. So even if you
Exactly.
still want to work your job,
Exactly.
you write your book and you
Exactly.
get your money.
Exactly. I mean, that sounds like my word of the day. Exactly. But yes,
That's fine, yeah.
And so I'm encouraging people to do that. Let's write. Call me, check me. I'm going to help you publish it. I'm going to help you get it illustrated. And we are going to put them out there. We need to gather local people that can draw to do our illustrations.
Yes.
And we have editors.
We have editors. We got
have
enough
editors,
people
so we
who
don't
studied
need to worry
English or
about that.
writing and whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what I am looking for is people who can draw or who can do
Illustrate,
illustrations
animations.
digitally. Animations.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
and
looking
we have
for.
them, and it's to push that, because the other benefit too, most importantly, is the fact that you raise the the interest of reading in a nation, because a literate nation, a literate person is a leader, is a powerful person, because then it helps to just frame your mind to encourage you to ask questions, to be critical in what you read, to look beyond what is just in front of you, to imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And in addition to that, it also, you said it just now, and that's actually our slogan. My slogan is turning readers into leaders.
Nice.
Because it is important that we make reading a good habit.
Yes, not just a punishment.
Technology is great. The videos is great. The social media
iPad
platforms
and
is
TikTok,
great. It's all great, but we have to. There's two things that I think is very important that we have to encourage: reading and writing.
Yes.
Yes. I big on journals now. I've been big on journals, and every chance I get, I give them to people. There's scriptures on every page on the ones that I like to give to people, but it is more to encourage you to read. A cheap gift, don't get me wrong, it's they have a great value in money. I buy them for $2-3 sometimes, those that I give away, and then
but hey, listen, you go to Ross and TJ Maxx, get those beautiful but in nice journals.
Exactly. And then, but as a matter of fact, I have two. My carry now to go carry as gifts, because I really believe that we need to write.
Yes.
We need to write, and because you don't know what day.
And that's how you control your narrative.
And besides that, you also better express yourself.
Yes.
When you write it. Typing is fast and typing is easy, but my thoughts just go into imaginary world when I type in. But when I am writing, especially to me or about me, my plans or my ideas, to me, when I write it, it stays with me. It stays with me long.
Yeah, write a vision, make it plain.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things I would like to end off with is basically, how you've overcome or basically dealt with this breast cancer situation.
I deal with breast cancer. Just kidding.
No, but I guess my first question for you on that is, how was it, I guess, dealing with it with our local healthcare system? And I have to ask that question because, that is my line of work.
My problem is with certain questions is I going to tell it like it is, and that has been a little problem sometimes, But I'm going to try to I'm going to try to give you a bird's view vision, picture of it. It is very important, and I would like to use this opportunity to encourage people to get private insurance as well. If you can afford it, or if you can make the sacrifice to get private insurance, get private insurance as well. I mean, have your as advance in our case here on the island, but in case people from abroad is watching as well, have your regular insurance that you will get through government or social affairs or so, but try your best to work on a private insurance, be it local, be it foreign. Just, it's important.
Get insured.
Because all insurances don't cover everything. And what is sad, especially in my situation, people in the fields where they deal with trauma often, where they deal with sick people often, there has to be they have to be able to control their emotions. They have to be able to mask their emotions so they can get the work done, because business is business. Yes, you're sick, or sorry you're sick. Business is business. But I think it's important that we offer trainings upon trainings upon trainings to our employees, because you don't want them to lose empathy. You don't want them to be inconsiderate of the fact that you are sick. The client is sick. You don't want to make your employees so cold that their way of even communicating with you, man, if you see some letters you just get from insurance companies, or it's just, it's crazy, So that's one of the first things. I have to also show gratitude, because I have private insurance. And I won't lie, in my first round of breast cancer, which was in 2014, things were so much different. I have dealt with the same people of 2014 now in 2020 and 2021, completely different character. I mean, the company has changed so much in structure, in ownership, and everything. And the new that came in is applying this pressure to employees that they have to act inhumane, is the word I want to use. You understand? I mean, and people that I know that are good people with great hearts, lovely people, but because of the new way of business, where the only thing that matters is money to them,
bottom line,
it becomes a headache. It becomes pressure on them that they change how they behave with you. And if you don't have the mental capacity or the understanding or the maturity to know that, don't hold these people accountable for their actions 100%, because they can't do nothing about it. You don't know what kind of pressure they're under, if they show too much empathy, if they show that they care too much. But I know the upper ends of the insurance company, something is fundamentally wrong with the way they think. Something is fundamentally wrong. When you have a situation where you could have the head of the medical department, the person that's supposed to be arranging your payment for your surgeries, and so calling you while you in the midst of chemotherapy, talking about negotiating on how much I gonna pay back if he paid this for me, and as if I don't have no kind of sense, as if we're talking about some mangoes that when they ripe and give it to you for less, and give some and you bring back some for me. I mean, at a given moment, I was like, I a number man. I'm not a human being. I had to call in for backup. I had to get lawyers on the case, because for some reason the human characters, the human people, so pressured about the numbers is how I gonna put it, because I refuse to believe that this is just a characteristic you have to work for an insurance company, that you just be cold and mean. You understand? How dare you tell your client, no, we don't pay for reconstruction. That's considered cosmetic surgery, and we only covered medical issues. Oh, so you thought I say, hey, breast cancer, come, jump in my titties there so I could get them cut off, so I could get new ones? Really? Come on. And then you're calling me talking about, I have clients in Nevis and Antigua, and they had breast cancer too, and they wanted reconstruction, and we had to deny it, because imagine if we have to do reconstruction for everybody who had breast cancer. In my mind, listen, I am thinking, are you human, or this a robot on the other side? Do you have a mother? Do you have children? And like I say, I want to believe that it is the pressure that they get from the upper end forcing them to act in a certain way. But I can guarantee you, I have been paying for private insurance since 20, I believe, 20, either 7 or 8, around there, 2008 or 2007, somewhere around there, I have been paying for private insurance. And I only got sick in 2014 for the first time. And I can imagine it is a lot of money. And yeah, but that's what paying you for. I know of other stories. I know of people who let me tell you, at this point, myself, along with some people that you would least believe, are considering finding a way that we could get through to the insurance association to figure out exactly what we busy with, you know? So it's sad that I have to put it like that, and I try my best to really curb as much as possible, you know, because I don't want I don't want to speak ill of nobody's business, and that's not a mission. And at the same time, I am super grateful because I had to fight them. I had to fight every step of the way when I got, boy, you touch a nerve today. Every step from the day I was diagnosed, I had to fight to be insured, to get my stuff paid. I leave from St. Martin and went on vacation with my daughter and Kelvin. I went on vacation. My daughter was getting ready to go back to school, and I was getting ready to do this U.S.-based business that I spoke about earlier. So we went on vacation. We were going to spend, I think, 21 days. We was going to, everything was set. But when I got to Miami, we had 7 days in Miami, and then we were going to go to Orlando. And while I was in Miami, I got this pain, but it was, I'm a sucker for pain. But if you see me grab and hold, then you know it catch me. So my daughter was like, but Ma, this is the second time I see you doing that. Why don't you just go to the doctor and you're here? When last have you been to the doctor anyhow, you know? And I said, you know what, let me go, because the pain was really thing. Mm-hmm. So went, found out at that time that, hey, you have breast cancer. You know, immediately that was a damper on the whole trip and everything. But of course, my next step was call my insurance. Correct. You know, to which my insurance break out. You did not get approval to go over there and get no medical treatment, so we ain't covering it. Oh, you really thought I had planned to have breast cancer? You really thought I went there on vacation and I had to find ways to prove to them that was not the case. You know, I didn't go there to the doctor. I went on vacation and got sick and found out that is what happened to me. So from the day of this time that it happened, straight down to my very last, it's been a fight. I had to get lawyers involved every minute. Then they no, we ain't gonna pay for the reconstruction. Okay, we gonna pay for the reconstruction, not because we have you covered. We're going to pay for it, but not because you threaten us with a lawyer, but because we have you covered. And that has been, the fight with them has been from then all the way. And again, I'm going to say it sounds like an oxymoron, but I am at the very same time super grateful to the fact that even after the fight, they paid. They paid for myself. They still got some stuff to pay for, you know, I mean, but I think we should have a talk on insurance, you know, not with insurance holders, but with people who have had experience with insurance. Yes. Because, I mean, how do you approve a surgery, but not the medication during surgery? So what, it was supposed to just take a 10 blade and cut me open, no pain, no pain management. So these are the little things that we need improvement on as far as our insurance companies go. And yeah, but at the same time, like I said, to God be the glory, because at the end I couldn't afford to pay those things, and they still came through after the fight. After I had to be constantly going at them, they came through and they paid, and for that I am grateful and I say thank you. But the challenge in between, I can't be sick fighting cancer and fighting the. No.
Yeah. I really didn't know it would have been so elaborate.
You touch a nerve.
Well, it's my job to ask some tough questions. But I would like to thank you so much, Tamara. There's so much more stuff I wanted to get into, but
I can come back
oh
another
yes,
time.
I'd definitely love to have you back. Particularly to talk about business and in our conversation earlier, I really enjoyed, and to continue talking about how you've overcome and working towards just being a champion. So on that note, I'd like to thank you, and any final words?
Well, thank you for having me. I want to encourage everyone that is hearing this interview to imagine, dream big, and take care of your body. Check your health, check your breasts.
Okay, thank you. Do take care, guys, and see you again next episode.
You done?
Yes.
Yes, and.